later on we'll discuss if you have any queries. I think we now go to the feedback loops. That is an important method and continuous assessment in the future assessment tools or kits for the future. And I request Professor Nilima to dwell on that particularly.
Back, it can be defined as the information which we give to the students describing their performance in a given activity that is given with the pure intent of to improve their future performance in the same or in related activity. So a good feedback, it promotes the skill of reflection, which is an integral and crucial part of learning process, and it helps in development of expertise and lifelong learning. If done well, the learner does not feel judged and he develops this art of reflection and become lifelong learning. And without feedback, mistakes may go unnoticed, even good performance is not reinforced, and clinical competence is achieved either empirically or not at all. The types of feedbacks, as we all know, the feedback can be a positive feedback or negative feedback. It can be given in a formal setting or informal. When it is given after a formative assessment, it is formative feedback, and it can be given after some kind of summative exam also. The most well-cherished kind of feedback is the constructive feedback, and another term which we are hearing, which we heard in the previous presentation also, is the real-time feedback. That is the feedback that is given in the real time. So what are the principles of good feedback? A good feedback should align the goals of teacher and learner. It should be well-timed. What does it mean that it should be well-timed? Well-timed means it should be real-time, and it should be given as quickly as at the end of the encounter as possible. And it should be expected. The learner should know that he is going to receive feedback at the end of his performance. It is based on first-hand observation. It should be regulated in quantity. It should not be very cumbersome, and it should be limited to remedial behavior. Any kind of behavior which can be corrected later. It should be phrased in descriptive, non-judgmental, non-evaluative language, and it should deal with specific performance. And it should deal with decisions and actionable plans rather than assumed intentions or interpretations. So feedback loop, when a learner takes up feedback, analyzes the feedback and acts on the insights of the feedback and works on it and improves himself, then a feedback loop is closed. So what are the barriers to effective feedback? We know that we have to deliver effective feedback, but there are various barriers. First and the most important are the time restraints. In clinical practice, we know that we have a time crunch everywhere, especially in surgical branches when we are performing some kind of surgery, and the learner is alongside us and we are trying to teach him something. Second important barrier is resistant recipients. So the recipients who have a fixed mindset, they are going to take any kind of feedback as negative feedback, and they may become defensive rather than trying to improve themselves. Even some educators, they lack sufficient training. So the feedback that they are giving, that is not learner-centered, and it is not inclusive of the learner's perspective or self-assessment. Next important thing is a learning environment. The environment should be conducive to feedback, and feedback should be a norm, and it should be taken that every learning exposure is going to be followed by feedback. Next important point is the dilemma of negative feedback. Most of the educators feel that only positive feedback should be given, but only positive feedbacks, they will not address some deficiencies. So in order to address those deficiencies, some kind of constructive feedback should be given, and it should be given in a non-judgmental language. So what are the various feedback techniques? The old feedback sandwich has been in history for very long, and it has 3 steps in which the 2 buns of the sandwich they are positive feedback, while the filling or the meat in between is the negative feedback. But it has been replaced by new feedback sandwich, that is ATA, that is ask, tell and ask, in which the first and the third step of the feedback, that is basically learner driven. So the educator or the facilitator asks the learner to tell about his assessment, and then in the second step the facilitator tells what he found was good in his performance and what can be improved, and in the last step the learner again tells what he was able to understand from the feedback and what he is going to improve from now on. Another kind of feedback is the multi-source feedback, which is gaining very high popularity in clinical settings. It includes a self-assessment as well as assessment from as well as feedback from other people who are working in the team. For example, the peers of the student, the supervisor, the nursing staff, and even the feedback from the patient on soft skills can be taken. So this method gives learner a broader perspective. Another method of feedback delivery is the Pendleton model, in which is a structured format of feedback in which both the trainer and the trainer as well as the learner are involved. Another method is the R2C2 method, which is also a structured format of giving feedback. And the first R stands for building relationship with the learner. Second R stands for exploring reactions and reflections of the learner. And third is C is for exploring the content of the feedback that was given. And the fourth step is the coaching for change and for making a proactive plan for action. So what are the tips for delivering effective feedback? As Sir also told in the last presentation, that we have to build a rapport and invest in a relationship with the learner. And the learner's self-assessment and engagement should be taken care of. And the feedback has to be given against well-defined goals. And specific example based on first-hand data or decisions or actions should be used. And very important is that we have to use non-judgmental, neutral tone. In fact, we should tell ahead that feedback is only for the improvement of performance of the student. It is not a method of judging the student, and it should be followed by creating an action plan in the end. So the conclusion of my presentation is that feedback is an important driving force for learning and assessment, and the shift over the years has been from unilateral flow of feedback from the facilitator to the student to bi-directional dialogue between the two, and the relationship or the rapport between the student and the teacher or the facilitator and the learner is the most important key. And although there are many types of feedbacks and there are many methods of feedback delivery, one size may not fit all. Every encounter, every kind of activity will require another kind of feedback mechanism. And although a lot of data is available, but medical educators should leverage the collective wisdom of the available literature with their own intuition while taking any kind of, while delivering feedbacks. So in the end, I would like to say that feedback in medical education is a journey, and and you will require more than a sandwich. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Sandwich is good enough. So I think we got the hang of it. Whatever be the name, whatever be the various model, doesn't matter. Primarily, it is
a newer word, a heavy word, as Sir said. There are many heavy words in the medical education, and we all used to get threatened by these words actually. So this word is entrusted professional activities. So before coming to this, we have covered two things. One is workplace-based assessment, and second is feedback. So do you all think that in our curriculum there are opportunities to conduct the workplace-based assessment systematically, and then there is I would say there is a proper time slot or a proper method to provide feedback to the students. Is it so, or we have to make it more structured so that there becomes an, I would say, an inbuilt thing by which teachers can provide the feedback to the students. So for this, actually, these entrusted professional activity-based curriculum, actually it has come in, I would say it has been implemented in the Western universities, and in India also it is going to be implemented. If I talk about the need for this curriculum or about this entrusted professional activities, it would be like that. There would be a structured thing by which we can conduct the assessment of the students, and then the feedback can be provided to the students. So an EPA based curriculum, it is the newer thing which is coming over here. How many of you have heard about EPAs? How many of you, is it really? So just we will be talking about the EPA. एक तो ये आया क्यों है EPA? Actually the number of PG seats have been increasing in India, and previously it was like there was one-to-one interaction of the guide with the PG students. So there was no need to be like, there was not like we have to be more structured and all. But now there are many PG seats and we have to deal with all the students. So there should be something in the timetable, something should be there. Okay, now there would be your assessment, it will be according to that. So a system will be set, and according to that the things will be conducted. So for making the things better, the EPA based curriculum, it has started coming in certain universities, and like we have to work for that. So EPA is actually, it is based on work based learning. There are clear learning outcomes. What do you think is the best way to assess or to make the curriculum for the PG student? What do you think is the best way? If we like divide the curriculum into certain set of tasks which a PG is supposed to perform after obtaining the degree or after becoming postgraduate, I think that would be the best way to define a curriculum. So EPAs are actually the so EPAs are nothing, they are the tasks or responsibilities that can be entrusted to a trainee once they have demonstrated the ability to perform them proficiently without supervision. So if you think, if a PG resident in pediatrics, he should be able to perform, he should be able to assess and manage a newborn, then assessing and managing a newborn is an EPA in pediatrics. So in every specialties, these EPAs actually real tasks or real things, these should be defined. So these are known as EPAs. And then these EPAs will certainly be helpful in evaluating the progressive increase in responsibility and autonomy of a learner or trainee in carrying out the activity. कब तक वो unsupervised, कब तक वो supervision में perform कर रहा है, और कब वो unsupervised होके perform करना है, ये जो पूरा pathway है, these things actually it has to be judged through these EPAs. So now the question arises, previously we have defined the curriculum in terms of competencies, and now there are EPAs. So it is like, what is the need of EPA and all? Actually, competency is the measurable and observable ability of a person to do something, but whether he is performing or he is not performing, that is actually assessed by the EPA. So I have given an example. Assessing and managing a newborn requiring resuscitation is an EPA, and competency is ability to demonstrate management of resuscitation. Now, it is not like, I would say both these things are not equal. If a person might have the ability to perform resuscitation, but he might not be able to perform in the real world, or the case might be complicated, there might be complexities. So actually performing in the real environment is the EPA. So both the competency and EPAs, they are aligned. if we like go from the base to the top of this pyramid, one resident should have knowledge, then he should have ability. These multiple abilities, when they are combined in action, they combinedly form or they combinedly create entrustable professional activities. Like in the previous slide, if you think about assessing and managing a newborn requiring resuscitation, what competencies do you think a resident should have when he is assessing and managing a newborn? He should have knowledge about resuscitation. He should be able to assess like what to use. Then he should have all the knowledge. So when we move on from knowledge to actually performing, it becomes an EPA. So it is a combination of multiple set of competencies. So these EPA statements, I don't want to bombard you with these new terms, but then these EPAs have been defined as they involve application and integration of multiple domains of competence, and they require application of knowledge, skills, attitude acquired through training, has a clearly defined beginning and end, independently executable to achieve a defined clinical outcome, reflect work that is essential and important for the profession, leads to recognized output or outcome of labor, it is restricted to qualified personnel. Now, when a person is performing or he is moving from a novice to a proficient or an expert, he moves through these 5 levels. So first level is not trusted to perform at all. Like when the person is novice, he cannot be trusted to perform anything. Then then he is trusted to perform anything with direct supervision in the second step, trusted to perform with indirect supervision. Finally, he moves to a stage trusted to perform with indirect supervision, and finally trusted to perform unsupervised. So these are the stages actually through which a learner passes through when he has achieved any EPA or not. So this is the portfolio of a trainee. Portfolio is actually a compact record of the activities which a resident can perform. So if we go to the portfolio of a resident, it would be like first year PG student for EPA 1 or the task 1. In first year, he would be at the level 1 when he cannot be trusted to perform anything. Then he will be like moved to level 2 when he can perform under supervision. Then 2, 3 to 4 and 5 is like he is able to teach others about that EPA. So this way a learner moves through the various levels of the EPAs. So in the EPA, a learner moves from novice to advanced beginner to proficient, competent, and finally he becomes an expert. There are multiple competencies which actually form a single EPA, and learner passes through various milestones, particularly he has to pass through various milestones to reach to an EPA. Now the question comes, who is going to grade him that the learner has moved from level 1 to level 2, has moved from level 2 to level 3? Shouldn't there be a workplace-based assessment? Shouldn't there be a provision to provide him feedback so that he can move from level 1 to level 2, from level 2 to level 3? It should be there. So that means EPAs have been devised actually to provide to conduct these workplace-based assessments systematically and to provide a provision where we can provide feedback to the residents. So this way these are conducted. So there should be alignment of competencies with the EPAs. So this is actually, I would say, the summarization, or I would say that the slide would be linking all the things. So there is an ad hoc entrustment with EPA execution. It is conducted multiple times. This is actually the slide which is showing that the assessment of EPAs should be done. Like how you are going to assess EPAs in real-time scenarios. You can take feedback whether the resident was able to perform the task at night. So you can like collect that feedback. So that would be added to his portfolio. This is actually the ad hoc kind of assessment. Then there is structured assessment, and finally there is a summative assessment. But before going to the summative assessment, there is ad hoc assessment, then observation, finally there is evaluation, and then the feedback will be provided to the resident that you are lacking in this aspect. So if you do this properly, you will be like able to move to the next aspect. One more thing which I want to add over here is EPAs actually provide residents a way, or I think a scope to reflect on their own performance. So if they actually like maintain a portfolio that I did it like this, but this I could have done it better, so they can reflect on their own performance also. So both reflection and feedback, they are integral to the EPAs. So there is ad hoc kind of assessment of the EPAs, and finally there is summative assessment of the EPAs. Yes, that we trust this person that he will be able to perform the task in the real-time scenario. Actually, there was retrospective assessment in the competency base that okay, this task was done well by this person, and we like certify him that he has done well. In EPAs, we are trusting him that he will be doing better when he will be going to the clinical world or to the real cases. So that is why they are saying that the statement should be like that the prospective aspect should be added to the EPAs. So now I think this question might be arising in the minds of the people that how many universities in India are actually, it is a common concept in the West, but how many countries and how many universities in India are actually following these. So when I searched through the literature, I found 2 or 3 universities. Datta Meghe University, I saw it, one in Pondicherry, and actually people are devising EPAs for their own subject. Then they are like looking for the assessment tools for grading the students achieve this milestone or a sir, but I think he has done so much of work on the EPAs, so he will be like telling us in detail. So this way, these EPAs can be actually mapped out in the curriculum, and we can we have to like chalk out the whole curriculum into set of tasks that learner should be able to do these much of things. So this is the the crux. So success is the result of perfection, hard work, learning from failure, loyalty and persistence. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So I think we have another 3 minutes, 21 seconds left for the session to complete. Any questions from the audience? Firstly, Ramachandran sir.
So very basic doubt. Most of the time it is a senior resident who is there in the ward or the situation, except in the outpatient situation. So a higher level faculty may just go and visit for some time, very limited time. So these are the tasks to be assessed by each type of faculty.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
From beginner to proficient. So this, the feedback and the WPBA, these are the tools, other than all tools which are basically will be helpful in the basic problem which I feel is in probably the implementation of this is the constraints of time. All these things require a lot of time on the part of the faculty. And the faculty, as we said, and we have been harping for years that there should be 2 kinds of faculty in medical colleges. Sanjeev Lewin, we always speak on that you can be a professor of pediatrics and a junior consultant in pediatrics. So you need to have 2 designations. That means you are spending 80% of your time in teaching and 20% in patient care, or vice versa. You can be a senior consultant in pediatrics and assistant professor in pediatrics. That means you are spending your 20% time in teaching and 80% time. So that depends on your interest as well as your motivation. So this will have more people giving more time to, now the faculty doesn't know. Basic challenges and enrichment of the faculty. Capacity building of the faculty. Faculty doesn't know कौन सा काम करेंगे तो उसका promotion जल्दी होगा. Basic everything happens or hinges on that only. So one has to. So there are time constraint. I think is the major issue that. Like to add something, sir.
It's not that we were not doing this earlier. Now that these labels are there, but even the unstructured format. When we were resident, our immediate seniors, our house servants and RMOs, they were all doing this, but this was not structured and not labeled as feedback or EPAs or WBPA. But they were supervising our work and they would let us do a task only when they thought we were competent enough to do it. They were never labeled as proficient or expert, but they were supervising. So This was there earlier, but only thing is being formalized now, structured and implemented through the WBBA and the EPS.
I think sir has put it very nicely. We all are senior people, Ramachandran sir. So do we say traditional teaching was bad? We are all bad because we have come out of that and we need a newer competency base and this and that. We have all been doing things. The only difference is that it was not that structured. It was ingrained कि हाँ ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है, तू अच्छा नहीं कर रहा, ये कर. So now it has become more polished. The language has become interesting and the new terminology.
But one more thing I always feel very strongly about, there were two things which have spoiled medical education. One is that ragging has been abolished. It's a very controversial statement, I acknowledge. And the second thing is the PG entrance examination. Now earlier the student used to come to our medical college, spend 8 years in that college through UG level and the PG level. And he was being supervised all the time. There were hundreds of examiners examining at each point in time in anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, pathology. And every time he went through this process, not labeled, not structured, but went through this process. And not only academic, he went through the extracurricular activity in the cultural, the American society, the British society, and he was examined all through and his competency was established. With the arrival of the PG entrance exam, the student does not belong to the department. It doesn't even belong to the college. That feeling of bonding with the college and department has vanished. And this supervision has also vanished at the same time. So we don't know which student was good because we haven't seen him last 7-8 years. Then we saw him all 7 to 8 years and we knew that this boy was good and he could be entrusted with a task. Today we don't know where has he come from, what he has done in the past. This also is one of the problems that we face.
So that means there are many challenges, but when we have challenges, if we look out for solutions, we have to find out actually the onus lies on us as we are the medical teachers and responsible for the next generation. So there are number of PG students now, there were less in the past, so that is the main problem. What do I feel is, if you put the assessments in the timetable, okay, you will be having 9 assessments this year, you will be having 3 assessments that time. I think every one of us will try to take out time for those assessments. The one thing is that we have to document everything and put it in this timetable. So I think that will make the things easier. Or we have to go step by step to change the things.
Dr. Prem. ये ले लो.
Sir, I'm doing my favorite fellowship and we had that session on EPA. So we designed it was individual activity, so designed EPA on how to stabilize a child in emergency. And while doing it, earlier I was thinking it's a fancy word, it's a difficult topic. But then I learned that what sir said, we were learned like this. So in first year you were just told that you have to observe, see how your seniors are doing. Then slowly, by the third year, you were given independence, and then our feedback used to be taken from the nurses, everybody. So multi-source feedback was there. So we have to really think: is it like the West is copying many things from our old curriculum? There are many things from Indian culture which is being copied, pasted, and West is selling them on their names. So is it that West has copy pasted this from our teaching methods and now selling it in their names? Maybe this quality of education was diluted over last 10 years, but it was definitely there, at least till my days. But definitely it is diluted now. So we have to think about it, that they are selling it on their names.
Thank you so much. Dr. Nilima, you'd like to say something before we wind up? So I think we are run out of time, so thank you very much. Sir Bhatia, Dr. Nilima, Dr. Jyot, because it's a very vast topic. See, we are combining EPA, we are combining WPBA, and we are combining the feedback loop. Each of them merits an individual session on its own. So I think you have done a great job, sir. Thank you so much for this. Was just a sensitization and just to encourage more debate on the topic. Thank you very much, and I thank the organizer for giving all of us the opportunity, and thank you all dear delegates. Thank you so much.